Hi everyone. So today we have like one of our special guests, and like he has been like
Mhm.
too awesome, and he will be also sharing like lot of insight about like iOS development and like what is like WWDC. So I wasn't also unaware of it, and like I recently came over to know about that what is like WWDC. So Sinchan, like, can you share like a insight about like what about like what is your role for right now and like what do you do, and then we'll talk about like WWDC.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ash. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I think one thing that I want to highlight is our passion for taking initiatives and also, picking up new things along the way. And I think this video alone makes it evident that, on such a weekday, I think we've both had a pretty busy day, but we still want to put our efforts to grow the community and also push uh, you know, potential student scholars as much as possible. So yeah, I'll introduce myself. I am Sinchan and I live in Bangalore. I work as a iOS developer at this startup called Corner.
Hmm.
And I got into this space, I would say the Apple platforms development space since I think 2016. I think it was 2016. I don't even remember. I was so young that time. I just wanted to do something different. So I started my journey there. And the journey started with me applying for the WWDC scholarship.
Hmm.
That was what it was called before. Now it's called the Swiss Student Challenge.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And that got me started in this space. That's how I learned Swift. That's how I started making apps. And so far, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to win the scholarship once and even the Swift Student Challenge once. So that makes me
That's
a
like amazing,
two-time,
yeah.
winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that eventually has given me a lot of success even in my career too so far.
Hmm.
So I'm just I'm happy to go through it and share more of that in this
Yeah.
video.
So you just like started like iOS development and came to know about like iOS journey from 2016. During that time, like I wasn't aware of any of those things. Like I was just in school days, like and chilling and enjoying. So, like you can just like tell about like what is like WWDC and like what does it mean and like everything. So our audience and like our like college students like can get insight about it, and like they can also start their journey like much more earlier than like later finding out that they missed a golden opportunity. So can you share insights about it?
Yeah, for sure. I'll first talk about WWDC. So WWDC, which stands for Worldwide Developers Conference, it's this annual conference held by Apple in the month of June. It usually happens at the first half of the June. So this conference is all about announcements and new developments oriented to Apple developers or their platforms mainly. It's going to cover a lot of these newer platforms that they are going to release, like the newer iOS, the newer Mac OS, the newer Watch OS, and so on. It's going to cover a lot of these newer innovative technologies that they are releasing. For example, in the past, they've released AR kit for augmented reality. There has been Core ML for machine learning, and even the most recent Apple Intelligence. So all of these get announced in that conference.
Yeah.
And this is more of a consumer focused, bit of the event, and there is also the developer focused one. So developers have get first hand experience about all these new technologies. And they get to meet the people who have built these technologies, like the engineers themselves, the designers themselves, the product managers themselves behind all these features and all these technologies. So it's a real good first hand experience for anyone who's actively taking part in the Apple ecosystem as a consumer, as a media enthusiast, or even as a developer or an engineer. So that is WWDC, and it's a really fun event. It's one of the biggest conferences in the world. I'll come to the second point too. I think I'll give an intro for the Swift Student Challenge too.
Okay.
So as we already spoke about how there are so many opportunities for college students or just students in general in this era. where they can take part in so many initiatives by so many organizations. Like so many of these organizations have scholarships, they have initiative programs. And I think just recently you spoke about Microsoft Engage. If I'm not wrong, that is an entrepreneurial, like an initiative that Microsoft has. So similarly, Apple wants to empower students, youngsters, to build for their platforms, because their platforms have really changed the world in a lot of ways. They have been the first, they have been the pioneers in so many technologies, in so many domains. And I think youngsters are the next, or have always been the driving force in shaping the future technology. So they want to empower them, and for that they want to promote WWDC in budding enthusiasts or budding technologists. So for that they have this initiative or a platform called Swift Student Challenge, where the objective is you build a software. It's called a playground, and you submit it along with so many thousands of other participants who are just like you. And if you have built really something amazing, creative, and innovative, then you have the chance of being of having exclusive access for WWDC. You'll get access to a lot of these exclusive events and communities, and some of those lucky ones also get to go to WWDC in person, to Apple Park in Cupertino. And they get to meet all the Apple executives and spend the day with them, and also have good interactions with all the engineers. So that's the platform that Apple has put up.
Okay, so like it's like it is like awesome perks that you get like chance to visit Apple like Tech Park. That is like crazy of thing. Like every like iOS dev like has a dream that once like they should visit there and like have our experience over there. So you had been there, and like what was your experience like you just like were representing India, and like you were the one of them, and like there. So how was your experience like? Can you share like about it?
Yeah, for sure. So I got the opportunity to visit Apple Park in 2018. I had just graduated my high school, like my 12th grade. And since I told you that my journey began in this field with the WWDC scholarship, it was my third attempt actually. And I had to build a playground, and I can share more about the playground maybe at a later point when we get more in detail. But I had to build a playground, and based on, as I said, creativity, technical innovation, and the quality of your code, you're judged. And I was privileged enough to be one of the only 350 people of those selected participants to be able to go to Cupertino, to Apple Park, and attend the whole conference, a 1 week long conference at it was not at Apple Park, it was in surrounding areas, but I did get to visit Apple Park, so that's the main thing. So I got to visit the conference, spend the whole week there. And it was an all expense paid trip by Apple themselves.
That's amazing.
It was really amazing. And if I have to say it in one sentence, it was a life-changing experience. It has really changed my life. So the experience was immensely, for someone who was not, like, that was my first flight. That was the first time me going to another country. Obviously, it's my first flight. And it was a totally different environment. So it's a entirely new, different kind of, a social environment. That is just simply different. So it was a great experience. I had a very enlightening time. I learned a lot about all the new technologies and platforms that they announced and released there. I got to interact with some of the engineers that worked on the technologies that I used in my playground. I had a couple of bugs that I faced, and I could share it with them, and they were really supportive, and they told me workarounds too. So it was great. And it got us a lot of media exposure too. So that was good too. Overall, it was a really amazing experience, a lifetime experience.
So
once in a lifetime experience.
that's like amazing part of it. And like, can you also tell about like what's like eligibility criteria? And one like if there is like someone who is a college student like first year or second year undergrad, so how like they would be like preparing and starting for that, and then later we'll be discussing about like how you can like submit your proposal and like, so can you like share upon it like?
For sure. I think Apple, because it's an initiative, it's a platform to push youngsters. They have made it possible such that almost any student can apply. Based on where you stay, I mean that limitation is again very. It does not affect too many people, but again, for certain countries there is an age limit. Like, if I remember right, there is the age limit of you being 16 in some countries, in European countries, and there is also some age limit in Middle Eastern countries for you 14 or 13 years old. But apart from this, most countries allow any student. Like, you can be even 6 years old. You are considered. That is just brainers. Like, if a single actually makes it, it's bonkers. But again, fun fact. The year I went, the youngest chap there was a 9-year-old. So it is completely possible. Yes, it is completely possible that it can happen.
Like anything you
so,
can do.
Yeah. And take a guess how old, like who was the oldest scholarship winner? Like, take a guess, a wild guess. What was that person's age?
Like 30s?
89.
Oh.
Exactly. It's amazing the kind of how much accessible this platform has been made. So all you got to be is a student. You can be a student enrolled in a professional course. You can be in any formal education based course, or you can be someone who's a part of a STEM institution or an organization, because they have a very active learning process. They are considered as students too. So you can be an undergraduate, a postgraduate, a PhD, level scholar. You are still eligible. And obviously, because this is very inclusive platform, they are going to judge you based on your age group. They make sure that judgment happens in a fair manner.
Okay.
So that's one of the key requirements for you to be eligible. You have to be an enrolled student in order to participate.
Okay.
That's one thing. That's step one. The second step is you have to have access to a MacBook or an iPad. If you have a MacBook, you can have these two apps. One is Xcode. That is the app that Apple developers or people who develop for Apple platforms use to build apps, to make projects. That is one. If that is way too advanced, so Apple has made a more inclusive and accessible app again, which is more user friendly, which is more friendly for students, people who are younger in age, who don't have to have a lot of that advanced technicalities involved while creating their beginner playgrounds. So for that, there is this app called Swift Playgrounds. So you have to download the latest version of either of these apps based on your requirement. And that is step 2. And then comes step 3, which is you have to build a playground. So Playground is just like an app in Apple. In Apple. So an app is a very, like a huge project. So we don't need something like that. So there's this another kind of program or app called a playground. You can create them in both of those apps. So essentially, they're just small apps that you can just run on your devices. Like you can run the playground in your Mac or on the iPad for testing. So it is very easy for you to get started with. And for this playground, you have to come up with an idea. I think that's one of the main things that really makes a lot of difference. You can't build just a generic playground. You can't just build another, like a to-do app or a weather app. That's what most of us developers who are getting started with new language or a new technology stack do. We write a to-do app, we write a weather app, but we have to be really creative here. because for one of the main, it's explicitly mentioned. The main criteria for judgment is creativity, problem solving skills, and technical innovation. So you will have to demonstrate all three of these in order to be really competitive. You have to be really competitive when you're building your playground. So this is the next part. This is step 3.
Okay.
And step 4 is you have to. I think, I mean, it was not mentioned in this year's announcement, but every year you usually write 2 essays as part of the submission. First essay is about your own playground. You'll write how you came up with the idea, how you began working on the idea, what was your approach, what were the problems that you solved, what were some of the things that that really became a roadblock, and what was the workaround that you used to get past them. So all these things which showcase or which shows how much effort you have put and how much problem solving skills you have really showcased or displayed there in this competition, in this time period. That is first essay. The second essay is something about that shows your passion in coding or in technology in general. It's usually titled Beyond WWDC.
Okay.
So essentially that means, what do you do beyond WWDC? Describe your passion for technology and coding. So these 2 essays, they're usually a part of the submission. So you bundle it all together and you submit it. And then after that, there's a waiting period of, I think, a month or 2. And post then, Apple will contact you via email, or they have their website also, which you can log in and check status of your submission. So this is the process of being an applicant for this platform, for this initiative.
And what are like timelines, like when someone can expect this WWDC would be happening, and means one can from when this would start preparing it, so is 6 months enough, or they need more longer time period, or what would you suggest based on your experience?
I'll start off with one fact. One of the scholars in 2018, there have been more after that as well, but the first time one of the scholars I met in 2018 in India, from India, he did not know Swift. He did not know app development at all. The moment WWDC scholarship, the scholarship program was announced for that year, that's when he got to know about the language Swift. That's when he got to know what the requirements are. And within a 2.5 week timeline, he learned Swift, he developed a playground, and he won the scholarship. So there really is no a set time period for what you can achieve or what you can do. It's all about how much you're willing to put efforts. But realistically speaking, I know you need to have certain learning path, a learning process for the. So I would suggest that a person, if at all they already know Swift, that is well and good. So I think the only first step that is harder to take is the ideation step, until you get a good idea that you feel content with on executing, on working on. That is the only the hard part. But if you are learning Swift, then it would be great in case you could really spend 1 week learning Swift, because there are a lot of nuances that you come across in the way, and you have to be at least good enough to tackle the more obvious problems during coding with Swift. So I think a week or even less, if you are a fast learner, is more than enough. There are amazing resources. Especially, I would suggest Paul Hudson's Hacking with Swift.
Yeah.
He has this series called 100 Days of Swift UI. That is you can go through it so rapidly that I once finished that whole course within 3 days. So it is really if you already know the programming concepts like OOPS, object-oriented programming, and you already work with other programming languages, you can really pick it up in a few days, and that is enough. And after that, you will have at least a 2-week timeline to submit this. So that is the time you can set in your mind. But as far as this year's submission go, The submission windows are already opened up for 2025. It opened up on 3rd February, and there is a 3-week timeline from 3rd February. So I think it is. We are close to the end of the week. Oh, we've already started the new week. So 2 more weeks left. But I think 2 more weeks is still a lot of time. If you're really willing to put in the time and effort, then it's a really long time. And along that thing, I'll just mention one small quirk that I got to know. Okay. There is a very, a very popular notion among WWDC scholars: no sleep till dub. That's like the hashtag we use whenever we are working on our submissions and we are not getting enough sleep. Just tweet that. Okay. So yeah, no sleep till dub. 2 weeks more.
That's awesome. And what would be like final takeaways for like based on your experience? Like you tried for like twice. Like initially you tried for initial one, but you didn't got selected, right? And then second time like you just tried it again and you just made into it. So what are like key takeaways for this and like?
I'll give 2 sets of takeaways. I think both are something that can motivate people. The first takeaway is that when you're working on your idea, make sure you start looking for ideas first from your passion or within your passion. Now, I know a lot of student scholars from the past who were not of the technology background, who had completely different educational backgrounds. Like I know people who have come from the field of business and management, from the field of hoteliering and culinary, the culinary world. That I've seen people come from backgrounds of physics and other sciences. So there really is no limit to your idea. You can bring an idea from any other domain to this particular this particular submission, and you can do your best to represent that idea as creatively, as innovatively as possible. That is one of the key things that someone should keep in mind. Often we have this mental block that, okay, I'm working on some technology, so it needs to be technical too. What I'm thinking should be very technical too. That's not really true. You can have an amazing submission with just your creativity and your problem solving skills alone. That you can have the most basic code written in your playground, but your creativity and your problem solving skills can make a lot of difference. So don't at all get discouraged about when you're ideating. Your mind is your limit, basically. Okay. So that's one. The second thing is make sure that you're prioritizing functionality and design to a certain level, because even myself, I have had bugs in my playground in the past. But as long as the primary functionality or the primary interaction that I wanted to have in the playground was working fine, it is more than okay. So don't stress about being perfect. As they say, perfection is a thief of good innovation. So don't let that get your submission delayed or anything. So make sure you're aware of how much progress you're having over the timeline, and make sure you prioritize functionality and design always. That's second. And finally, I think this is the most important one. The journey is more important than winning this scholarship. As I mentioned, I have failed twice. I'll not use the word fail. I'm sorry. I have not won twice. But that experience alone gave me so much insight, or gave me so much knowledge on what exactly I can improve on next time, or exactly I can do to get better next time. What exactly was missing the first 2 times around, and that made a whole lot of difference. The primary thing, I'll share 2 bits about that. One of the key things that people look for in your playground is creativity.
Okay.
Because Apple believes in the intersection of art and technology, right? And art is creativity. So make sure that whatever idea you get is creative enough. You are crazy to think very creatively. It might be the most unconventional idea, but still do it. It might be just that creative spark that your idea, your playground needs. That's one. And second thing, when you're thinking creatively, you also got to put in that technical innovation bit. Just sprinkle it on top. Use some of the very cool technologies that Apple has. Augmented reality, maybe machine learning. Apple Intelligence has. I'm not really read Apple Intelligence, but I think it can definitely be considered for this year's submission. But there are a lot of such technologies that you can use. So make sure to use that. And along the way, you will realize that you have learned so much over that 2 weeks or 3 weeks period that you are at a far better stage than you were before. And that alone is enough for you to know that this journey was worth taking. Okay. So that's like the last thing that I want to say. And definitely for students career wise, it's going to make a lot of difference. Winning WWDC alone has got me to where I am today in my career. One funny thing to say about it is, so far I've given at least a dozen interviews, and in none of them, they bothered asking me about my formal education. Oh. So when you really, no one asked me. No one. I was surprised that people usually ask, okay, what did you learn in your college, in your university, but not once did I get asked. It was mostly about what was your WWDC submission. Can you explain me what was your idea? What did you do? What languages or frameworks did you use for certain things? It was mostly about that. So it makes all the difference. It puts you in the spotlight. It connects you with some really amazing people in the industry, like some of the big celebrities of the industry. I would say like Paul Hudson.
You made it.
Michi Yang, like there are so many community leaders, and that is going to propel you so much ahead in life already, just one experience alone. And you don't even have to win it, right? The moment you start this journey, you're already part of communities, you're already part of an elite group of people, WWDC applicants. And that already brings you a lot of, prestige, and you're one of us already. So this is a journey worth taking, and I really wish whoever sees this and whoever has the access to take part in it, ability to take part in it, should really take it. I really hope that happens. I want to see more people from this part of the world do their best. More students from this part of the world make use of such initiatives and platforms.
Okay guys, so this was like all about like WWDC, and like if you have any of our queries, then you can just connect with Sinchan and like ask like or like get it resolved, and like he'll be there to like guide you in any of way, or else you can just connect with me also. We'll just like discuss about it. So thank you so much, like Sinchan, coming for here. And like guys, like if you have like any of doubts, feel free to comment, and like if there are like too many of doubts, we'll make a separate like dedicated video for it, and like explain you more about like WWDC and like how you can explore more about it. So thank you so much, like Sinchan, coming for here and like sharing insights about like WWDC. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Aarsh. It was great talking to you about this. This is I'm really honored and privileged that I have come in contact. I've known so many people over the years, and I'm also meeting so many new people over my time, over my career, that we are able to have these opportunities to make a difference. Thanks so much for having me here.
Thank you so much. Okay.